More than I need, what you want, girl, it's yours. Give me your feelings, I just can't ignore. 'Cause all I want is you, baby. Give me your time, all your love, I've been paying.
What's going on, y'all? Your boy Russell the Fourth.
Hey everybody, it's me, Brandy.
And welcome to another installment of the What They Never Told Us podcast. What's going on? We back.
Sunday Fun Day.
Sunday Fun Day, season 5, episode, I don't know.
So why do you even start? Why do you even start with that if you don't know what it is?
I don't know.
Just be doing stuff.
I don't know. It's part of my shtick. I just don't know
It was not working.
I go into it and then be like, wait, what is it? I think it's episode 11, 10 or 11.
It's 12. I'm gonna need you to come up with a
12?
routine. It is.
Oh, I gotta fact check you on that.
Go ahead.
Season 5, episode 12. This season's flying by. It does not feel like it's been 12 episodes.
It's only flying by because we're now counting the lives as episodes. It's really only episode 6, but you know.
Oh yeah, 2 episodes a week. Give it up for the 2 episodes a week. Come on now. I remember one point it was just 1 episode a week, and the lives was something you just had to be there for. We weren't posting those to streaming, but I'm really glad we do that now because, like we say all the time, the lives is just like the heart of the podcast. And if you have not been to one, highly recommend. I keep seeing every episode. I keep seeing pop in and say, I finally caught y'all. I finally made it to a live. I finally made it to a live. You have to come to a live. It is even if you only do it once, it's the core of the What They Never Told Us experience.
Oh, yeah. There was a few new people on last week, and they were commenting and laughing and kicking it with other people. So I always think that's dope. Not only do you come in, tune in and say, hey, y'all, I'm here, but like engaging, that part is just irreplaceable. And even when we're reading the comments, it's not the same as just like experiencing it live. So if you're not busy on a Thursday night, about 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, jump in, see us. And if we're not on right at 8:30, it's okay. It's all right. We on the way. Just give us a few minutes. We'll be there, okay?
8:30-ish. 8:30-ish.
It's always been ish. There's a lot of stuff going on. We switched it to Thursdays, which is also our Bible study day. So like kids get home about 4:30, Bible study starts at 7. It's like this split amount of time that we have to do everything that we need to do. Sit down for Bible study, and at 8, we get right here at 8:30.
Eat. It'd be times we like just took a couple bites before we go live. We just like,
why did we switch it to Thursday?
We did it one time because we had something going on Wednesday, and we had a lot more people on the live, and also Wednesday just didn't give a whole lot of people a lot of time to see the episode beforehand.
They still don't be listening before they get there, Shanika. I can call her out because she don't listen.
That's
she come on the live every time and be like, you know I ain't listening.
Just one person. Yeah, but Sunday Fun Day. This one is sad. I am so sick that I have to go back to work. I've been on Christmas break for 2 weeks straight, and I almost forgot I had a job. Yeah, and that was a great feeling. I
only go in on Mondays, so I was calculating it. I haven't been in if I didn't go this Monday, it would be a month. I haven't been to work in 3 weeks. I've still been working though, because I'm a hard worker and I just don't stop. But.
Yeah, and take that with a grain of salt, because I live with her, and what she calls work is a far cry.
I be working.
When she do work, she work. But the thing is, when does she work?
A lot. Just because I can work from my phone a lot because a lot of my work is like through email exchanges. You're just jealous that you be in there stressed out, and I be like,
listen here, I am not. Oh no, I do want to kick you sometimes when I get out of bed in the morning. But I mean, look, if you go to school, get your master's, single mom, 3 kids, you have earned every bit of that salary and every bit of work from home. Like,
I'm a coach because I done put in a many a days in the factory. And
look here, do you think I'm proud of you?
And a minimum wage, contracted, dead end job.
But work looks different when there's no one there to like see you work. Like when you get done with your email, if you don't got nothing like on your calendar or nothing you got to do,
I'm about to watch Judge Judy. And I dare somebody say something.
Like, if you in the office, even if you finish your work, you gotta look like you doing something. You at least gotta fake.
I don't. I close the door.
You gotta get up. You gotta get in your car, clean your car off. You gotta get dressed. See, look, and all in PJs.
Sound like you need to go back to school and get a master's degree.
Nope. That's all right. That's all right. I will take my job. So it is what it is, but I'm going back to school. Shout out to everybody working in the education system. You like me, we on our way back to the job. So
if there's any chance
Stay
that there
strong.
are parents of the students that Russell teaches that happen to tune into the podcast, get your kids together before you send them back to school tomorrow. I'm tired of my hut because been coming home stressed out. Okay, thanks.
I ain't going to say nothing.
Please get them together.
I
Have a
ain't
conversation with your
I
kid.
ain't going to say nothing because Lord.
It's gonna be good. I've been praying for them kids, and I feel like they're gonna come back rejuvenated with a vigor. Like, oh, we only have 5 months left, and we don't want to go to alternative education when we go to high school. We don't want to be in this school next year, so they're gonna get their life together. It might be one or two that try you, but the majority of them are about to get their life together.
All right. Now, look here. The prayers of the righteous availeth much. All right. Nah, but this is... Ooh, we're approaching our anniversary. We are.
Well, I mean, we still got 4 months, but
our anniversary is in the first quarter of the year.
you don't know what quarters is. It's 3
It's
months.
3 months. January,
Yeah.
February, March.
It's in the second quarter.
It's in the top of the second quarter. It's the beginning of April. Okay, it's the first quarter-ish. The beginning of the second. Yeah, no, but
Clearly you missed
I knew
that.
it was 3 months. I just, didn't put that much thought into it. But either way, we're approaching it, and I am remembering this time of when we were, I don't even know what you call it. After, what do you, our betrothal? Like, what do you call that period while you're like engaged?
Our engagement?
Engagement, that's the word.
Our betrothal? What? We've been watching too much. Too many
Look here.
mid-century.
I've been
TV
I've been
shows.
studying. I was just reading into like what that looked like in
Betrothal.
biblical days.
What looked like?
The time frame when you were engaged. We call it
You weren't
engagement now.
engaged. Like,
Huh? I proposed to you. We were engaged.
I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about back then. That wasn't really like an
It was
engagement.
it's a completely different thing than what
Yeah.
we do now. It was called a betrothal, and that was like ironclad. You couldn't just
Change your mind.
You couldn't just change your mind. You could just be like, you know what?
Ask Joseph, because he was like, look, she done got pregnant by somebody else. Like, I don't want this.
Nah, he was about to put her away. He had a look. The only reason why you could not marry them during the betrothal period is if you had proof of them being of them fornicating, like
Not
if they
a virgin anymore.
they were being promiscuous, they slept around or cheated on you during that time frame, you could not marry them. So when Mary came with that bundle, he was like, hey, look here,
I'm gonna do it quietly so you don't get embarrassed.
I'm gonna just do this on the sly. But yeah, I'm not buying a whole immaculate conception.
Whose baby is it? God's baby.
God's baby. Oh yeah, you got me messed up. I tell you what, I'm gonna do this on the sly, but you got to go. But now I was thinking about that, like it was so ironclad, and thank God it's not like that no more. We still got the opportunity to be like, yeah, no, you not it.
I have a very weird fascination with like foreign TV shows, and I've gotten into, first it was like Jewish Matchmaker. She started with just matchmaking like Jewish people in the United States, but there are Jewish people all over the world. So it broadened, and she went like to India and Israel and all these places where she was then performing a matchmaker, and Netflix did this series on several matchmakers. But in the Indian culture, it is still
Indian matchmaker. I think I saw that.
it's still very much like that. Your family vets the person that you're going to be with, and then there's a period where like you can't see them or you can't be seen outside with them. Something, if I'm getting this wrong, excuse me, because it's not my culture, but I'm trying to
Remember,
yeah. And then you get married kind of like in not secret, but with a close group of people. And then you guys can like go out and go to events and attend things. And then you have your big wedding. But it's like,
Oh, so you can pop out before you get married?
no, you can't. So like when you're in the engagement period, you can go to her house and be with her and her family. She can come to your house and be with you or your family. But like going out with friends, going to events, going on dates, you can't do that. And then you have, I can't remember what the title is called, but there's this ceremony where you come with close friends and like a priest, and they're technically married. And then that's when you can go out, you can be seen, you can date, you can have fun. But then you have a wedding, and then you're officially like husband and wife. And I was like, there's no way I could do that. First of all, my mom does not know my type at all. If she always called it for you.
Gonna quit,
but that's because I picked you first. That's because I picked you first. And she was like, oh, he's a good guy. Like,
your mom knew off rip.
First of all, I knew you was going to go there. I picked you first. Let's be clear. Like, she didn't even know who you were until I brought you home in high school. You picked me
and was like, yeah, you know what, on second thought, I'm cool on you. Your mom was like, girl.
It's true.
Look,
she had the little mom instinct that said that's going to be your husband now. The path of walking that out was a little...
Look here. God bless the broken road that led me to you.
It was a little broken.
But I'm curious because I feel like I see a lot of seasoned Indian couples. Like
it seems to work. But I also think that divorce is just not as prominent as it
is.
So even if you're miserable, you still like...
There's a reference
most of the time
for
women
marriage.
Don't work and...
In their culture.
What you gonna do?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like... What I'm gonna do?
Yeah, it's kind of like really old school how we were. Even if it was bad, that's who take care of you. You probably don't have much education. You don't have a skill set, so you just stay.
Now, barring the situations where like there was abuse, there was emotional abuse, where people were just like legitimately like in bad situations, I really do think that we were as a society in a better place when there was more of a reference for marriage, right? Like where, you know, a season of a rough patch doesn't mean we get divorced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, now I'm not speaking on situations where grandma was just trapped, but she didn't have an education. She didn't have a job, so she couldn't go nowhere, and she endured hell until grandpa passed away. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where y'all are having a rough patch, and y'all just like, you know what? Forget you. This ain't working. I'm leaving. We quit so easy now, and
absolutely.
I do think that because marriage is not like revered in the way that it used to be, it's so easy to just throw in the towel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the divorce rate in America alone is just astronomical.
Yeah,
and I think the more readily available you make it, like you see women leave marriages and go on to be successful. One woman sees that and she's like, oh, like we can do it, you know. Not now, of course, it's more prevalent, but back then, as it started to creep up, it's just like, oh, it is possible for me to go out and work and take care. I don't have to endure this situation any longer, so I'm going to leave. And now we have is just like, you don't suit my needs, I'm done.
We need some endurance, like just some stick-to-itiveness.
I think it just got to be some criteria from what I'm enduring, though, because I
yeah,
don't want to just endure a trash husband just to say that I endured it. But I'm not going to sign up for that.
The thing is, like, you're gonna have seasons where you're not getting what you need from your spouse.
That's different than you being a trash spouse all around. You might not be hitting me.
Might be
you
some
might not, but you're
seasons
just not a good husband.
Now
it's a difference.
Well, once again, that's not what I'm talking about. I said barring those situations. I'm talking about where you're in a season where it's just not giving what it used to give, right? And you might have been a great wife to me last year, but this year my needs are different, and you're having a hard time adapting to what I need in this season. So where you used to be a great wife, now in my mind I'm like, man, I've been telling her I need blah, 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 or I need this and I need some adventure. All we do is sit in the house all day, blah, blah, blah. And now in his mind he's formulating this idea of, for lack of better terms, just the term we've been using, trash wife or trash husband, right? Like now it's like, I'm going to just dip, or I'm trying to get together. I'm unhappy, so I'm going to leave. That's what I'm talking about.
I think that ties back into the conversation we had when we were talking about for better or worse, sickness and health, and those traditional vows, and what reverence do we have for those traditional vows, and how how married are we to our spouses, right? Like, some people are just married for the sake of saying I'm married.
Yeah.
But if you're truly married to them, I think that stick-to-itiveness, I don't think it's lost. I just think that marriage has become so watered down in this day and age that people just don't get married for the same reasons. Now, me and you are living in a day and time where it's, you know what I'm saying? But I think our just mindset towards marriage is different. But if somebody gets married just because they want a house or they want somebody to take care of them or they want to feel like, I don't know, I guess married people are a little bit elevated over single people in our society. So a certain status comes with that, certain recognition or reverence comes with you being married versus being a girlfriend. But those are the only reasons why you want to be in that situation, not because you truly love this person. You could see yourself being with them when they old and crusty and can't wipe their own butt and all those things. Like, yeah, it's easy to walk away from that stuff. I think it's not the divorce that's the problem. It's the commitment that's the problem.
Yeah, it was, we both heard it. We were at a marriage ministry event and we heard the statistic and it really shifted me because I had, for lack of a better term, I popped my divorce cherry. Like, I was like, the first time was really difficult for me. You know, if you a long time listener to the podcast, I ain't come from a lineage where I saw that in front of me. So I was the first one in my family amongst the last, 2 generations that I knew of that had been divorced. So I was like, man, I'm bringing this into my family. I'm opening the door for this demonic presence in my family. The demon of divorce is running rampant through me. I opened the gate. And I'm joking about it now, but I seriously
you really felt that.
I seriously felt that. So the first time was difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was willing to do because I've seen that before. It's not a stretch for me to think that. I've seen what it looks like when we stay together for the kids. I've seen what it looks like when, hey, this is what we got. This is the hand we dealt. We gonna play this thing out. Got to see it through, my boy. You know what I mean? I've seen that and I was willing to do that. But now that I've been to the other side, when we're coming into this, whereas the first time it wasn't an option, in my mind, like, well, there's always divorce. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've had those conversations like, yeah, I won't tolerate this. Like, if you do this, I'm going to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just this thing that's in your mind. And when we heard that statistic in marriage ministry, I don't know the exact numbers, but it was the second time, your second marriage, you're like, I can't remember the numbers, but it was like you're far more likely to get divorced again. So the divorce, just for the sake of the statistic, your 50% of marriages end the first time around. 70% of marriages end on your second.
Over 60%.
Over 60 on the second one?
Yes, compared to 50% for the first marriage.
So it's like you would think on your second marriage you would have acquired the wisdom, you would have learned some things to help walk it out on your second. No, you're 60% more likely to get divorced on your second marriage than you were your first. So when I heard that, I was like, you know what? It shall not be so. It will not be me. I'm going to fight like a mug to stay in this thing because I want to reference marriage in that way.
I'm a little torn on this subject, to be honest with you. I have a picture in my mind of my grandfather and my grandmother now. Of course, I was very young when they were like old and seasoned. So I didn't see where they came from. I just saw where they were at. And as I got older, I learned just the quality of husband that my grandfather was, which was very poor in my eyes looking into their situation. My grandmother did all the stuff for the house, but she also was the only one who worked. He had children outside of or a child at least, outside of their marriage. He took me to like his girlfriend's houses when I was a child. Now at the time I didn't know, but as I got older, my grandma was like, oh yeah, so she knew that these things were going on. And I just wonder the quality of life or marriage that she had. I said before here on the podcast that I never saw them kiss except for that one time, and it completely blew my mind. They weren't affectionate. I didn't hear them say that they loved each other. They came home to each other every night. They slept in the same bed. When they woke up, they lived two separate lives. And I just wonder, like, now as a wife, as a mom, living this life and knowing how stressful it can be, I just wonder, did she feel loved? Did she feel appreciated? Did she feel protected? And knowing that it's possible with looking just at all the things that she had to face, that it's possible that she didn't and she still stayed, that just seems like torture to me. On the other hand, I do feel like, yes, when you get married, you're supposed to stick it out. Like you say, for better or worse, you say through richer or poor. So you should really live that. But I also just don't know to what extent and for how long you feel suffocated, you feel unappreciated, you feel unloved, you feel worthless, and you still stay. I don't know what justifies that.
Yeah, I think the scenarios I'm talking about are outside of infidelity. And
I'm not talking about your scenario. I'm just saying in general. Like,
yeah, I don't think you should feel torn about that. I feel like what you feel is 100% in line of what God does not desire for his people. You know what I'm saying? Now, within that, there's free will. You know what I mean? And that was a situation where, you know, although it was possibly a painful situation for your grandmother, there's other areas in which you were blessed because of his presence, right? Whereas, you know, we've talked about this on the podcast where his presence in your life was a steady for you in terms of needing a male around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, for all he was as a husband, as a grandfather, and as a father, I think he was absolutely amazing. And on top of the fact that he was like a functioning alcoholic. So he was able to still maintain a positive presence in our life. But I'm just talking about his wife.
But this is what I'm saying. Her choices blessed you in an area. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, you know, God gonna make it do what it do, regardless of what's on the table. But I agree with you 1,000%. I think that as we walk out this thing called marriage, like, you really have to weigh on the scale, like, okay, God, what is your will for my life? What did you have in mind for me? And if I'm living in an existence that makes me feel less than a human, less than a child of God, now we got to start praying about, okay, God, how do I walk this thing out? Or how do I walk out? And that is the scale that we all got to weigh.
Yeah. And I mean, my grandmother was that. She was the pillar of faith for our entire family. Like, everybody else was running amok. You hear me? But we were steadfast in the fact that she was interceding for us. She was setting the foundation for us. She was setting the example for us. And I can imagine that she probably did pray for her marriage, and she probably did pray for things to change. And maybe God didn't give her the okay to walk away.
Yeah.
But I know that there are people who are also still in situations like this and struggle with the fact that divorce does have such a large stigma attached to it. It is really hard. And, quite frankly, the church and everyone will tell you that God hates divorce and it's appalling to him. And
the Bible says that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And so you wrestle with those feelings of, I don't want to disappoint God. I don't want to break my vows. But I also am just not happy. And I get that there are seasons of unhappiness that will come and that will fail. But what happens when that season lasts for 10 years?
You know what? And this is why I'm glad we're talking about what we're talking about today. Because when there's people I've had a front row seat on in the sphere of marriage, mm-hmm. and it's a scenario we're talking about where clearly y'all unhappy. Like, clearly this is not ideal. Y'all don't sleep in the same bed. Y'all argue consistently. I'm more surprised when I see you speak peaceably to one another than I am seeing you argue. Mm-hmm. That's more of the norm. Mm-hmm. And in those scenarios, I always wonder, like, how did it get to this point? Is this like, you know, because I have people who will come to me for advice or come to me for, just my thoughts or just even just to vent. And they'll just be, man, she on the
other person fault.
Oh my, it's just like this person. Now, mind you, this person who you chose is just the worst human being ever.
Let you tell it.
But you chose them. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, was there a shift that happened? Was there a change that happened? Or did you miss the signs? Did you not handle the season of betrothal?
I hate it.
Did you not handle the
Episode is
season?
now called the season of betrothal.
Hey, I love it. The season of engagement correctly. Because if I'm being honest, I don't even got to use the people who I got a front row seat on. I can look at my own life. And I didn't handle my first marriage correctly at all. I went through the what do you call it? The rigmarole of the routine of what you're supposed to do before you get married. Oh, we're supposed to get counseling. Okay. We're just going through the motions of it. But did we actually seek counsel? Were we challenged? Were we pushed? Were we agitated? Were we going through the nook and crannies of, okay, when we walk through life together, what does that look like for you? What does finances look like for you? What does sex look like for you? What does arguments look like for you? What do you look like when you angry? These are things that I just completely was naive to. It was in very much on the area of what nobody ever told me. Right?
This is the whole reason the podcast exists. This is like when we were talking about the name.
This was it.
This is it. This is what it was based off of.
I remember before I got married, the people who I was chopping up with, men are such horn dogs. Only thing people talked to me about was sex in terms of men. It was a couple people talked to me about things that men really care about, and it's always around the sphere of like respect. How does she talk to you? Is she, you know what I mean? And in my first marriage, my first wife, she was, her nature was just very meek, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't even imagine where she was like yelling or, talking to me crazy and nothing like that. So I was like, oh, this finna be a breeze. Like,
man, you went to the total opposite, huh?
Huh?
You said you went to the total opposite, huh?
You disrespectful to me?
Like, that didn't work. Let me try somebody with little spikes.
You disrespectful to me?
I'm not disrespectful, but I definitely talk back.
We have conversations.
That's
we
a
have
good way to put
conversations.
it. I like that.
Yeah.
That's why I married him. You know how to spin my
don't do that because
toxicity.
I do not claim, nor do I feel like I am in a marriage where I'm disrespected.
Absolutely.
And my history and where I come from, I couldn't be in that. And I think I said that up front. Like I got a few things that I just can't do, and this is one of them. Like, I'm gonna try to be a great communicator. I'm not always gonna be good at it. Sometimes I can be emotional and I can say things the wrong way. But there's some things you ain't never gotta worry about me. I'm never gonna call you out your name. I'm never gonna throw something at you. I'm never gonna put my hands on you. You don't never gotta worry about that. And I don't ever want to worry about that with you. I cannot worry about it with you because the moment I do, I'm not coming back here. You won't see me again.
He just gave y'all this big old spiel about how he is not getting divorced, and then he talking about if I put my hands on him, he ain't coming back.
You won't see me again. You won't see me again. I'm gonna wait till you go.
Hitting you that hard.
Wait, you don't hit me at all. Nah, but you done made me lose my daggone thought. But honestly, like it's about doing the work beforehand, handling engagement right.
So I do agree with that. Like there's nothing wrong with what you said. I do feel like though, if I'm looking at my own scenario, right? I was essentially happy when my first husband and I were dating. I didn't have any major concerns. He was not disrespectful to me. There weren't things that in the dating period that I was like, oh, I would never want to marry him, right? And I was one of those people who definitely had the mindset of, if it's like this now, when we get married, nothing's going to change. Like I was marriage doesn't change anything. It's just a piece of paper type of person. But what I realized through experience is that things do change when you get married. And the person that somebody was when you were dating, they may not be that same person once you're married, once you have kids, once your finances is mixed. Once stress starts to come and the house is falling apart and somebody got to figure out how to fix it. Once life just starts happening to you, it can bring different characteristics out of a person that I won't say weren't there before, but maybe you didn't have the opportunity to see before. And I will say that some of the things that we experienced in marriage the first time, me and my first husband, I think we just weren't equipped to handle, but we didn't know that we weren't equipped to handle it until we experienced it.
Can I stir that pot a little bit?
Absolutely.
Who you were when that was who you wanted. If you were this version of yourself back then, would you still choose him even during that dating period?
If I was this version of
this
myself?
version of yourself right now, if you dated him right now, say
it's so hard to say that because I feel like this version of me was birthed out of that. You know what I'm saying?
But this version of you is wiser.
Absolutely.
So knowing what you know now, during that dating period, exactly what you saw in that dating period, would you still be like, that's what I want for my life?
So I have to erase the marriage from my mind, right?
Well, here's the thing.
I'm saying right now
well, you were saying there was nothing that you saw during the dating that you were like, yo, no, like if this stays like this, it'll be good.
Yeah.
But that was based on who you were then. Like, right, who I was when I was dating my first time around was a uninformed, far less wise version of myself. And there were red flags I didn't see because I wasn't at a point to even recognize the red flag, to even be like, hey, yo, that won't be good in a marriage. Or this thing right here, but it's cool. Like, it was based on who I was then. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't an issue, but I just didn't have the eyes to see it. Like, the things that were there, that when the marriage started hitting the fan, they were always there. Now when I look back, I was like, I can see that. That was always there. Life didn't bring that out. I just don't think I had eyes to see it. That's me. You know what I'm saying? I'm asking if that's like similar.
I don't think that's necessarily my perspective, as in me right now would not choose him. I think that the maturity that happened in me, it's hard for me to put into words, but I recognize the areas where I was a large part of the problem in the deterioration of our marriage.
For sure.
I think because I didn't choose divorce, I'm looking at it from a different perspective than what you would have looked at. Mm-hmm. And I would say that if maybe who I am now was dating that person, there just would have been some things that I would have known about myself that I think would not have maybe caused or led to or contributed to some of the things that it contributed to. He gonna be who he is, and that may have mixed well with the person that I am now. But the person that I was back then, but you're looking at, I think what you see too is the person that he is today, which is not different. Who he was back then. So it's,
because
but you're looking at I won't say he's a finished product, because Lord, please keep working on him. Don't do
that. I'm gonna
come here and keep it real all the time.
I'm just saying, you're right. I'm basing this on what I see.
Yeah,
now.
what you see.
And in my mind, I'm like, this is who you was married to.
Exactly, but it was who I was married to in the later, but it's not who I dated. You know what I'm saying? So I can't answer your question.
But honestly, though, like when we talk about the type of work that we did going into this marriage.
Yeah.
If that
type of scrutiny was put on that situation, it probably would not have.
You see what I'm saying?
Ended up there, yes.
Or at least there would have been more insight as to, oh man, we don't see this the same, or man, we not equipped to handle this.
I would say, or we may have been better equipped to handle what came our way, but we didn't do that.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's that like it's the importance of that pre-marriage time frame. The engagement is so key. I'm going to ask you something. This completely outside what we were talking about, but I know we said we're going to go back to this. 2 questions. First one I have, This is a personal one because I always wondered about this.
Just ask the question.
Let me do it my way. When someone proposes to you,
Yes.
they give you a ring, y'all engaged. For whatever reason, the engagement's called off. Do you get a ring back?
So I'm gonna tell you my Judge Judy answer first. If it was given to me on my birthday, on Christmas, on Valentine's Day, anything like that,
the lawful answer.
then no.
Give me the lawful answer.
Then no, I keep it for myself and you don't get it back. But I'm gonna tell you what I did in my marriage. So this is my stance. If you give something to me with the intention of use it for college, if I don't go to college, I'm gonna give you the money back. Where I'm giving you this as a sign of our engagement. If we don't get married, you get that back. I'm giving you this as a sign of our love and commitment to each other. It's a circle. It's never ended, never broken. If it get broken, you can have it back because it no longer symbolizes that to me
we get divorced,
anymore.
I get that ring back?
How about, first of all,
Wait a minute.
I feel like you shouldn't even, but who I am, I believe I would give it back. Now, in my
wouldn't ask for
mind,
that.
real quickly, I was like, I'm going to pawn it and maybe we could split the proceeds, but you can't just have it back to go give it to somebody else. Like, what you going to do with it?
Huh?
What you going to do with it?
The same thing you said. I'm gonna pawn that thing.
So,
Give me,
let me
give
do
me
it.
give me a little apartment or
We're
something.
going to split it 60-40. I put in work for this.
No, I was I feel a little different with the wedding ring. Like if you were my wife at some point, like I would never be like, give me the ring back. I wouldn't do that. Engagement though, if I gave you this for the purpose of you being my wife and you said we're not gonna be engaged, well give me the engagement ring.
But what if
ring
you
back.
said that? What if you said, I'm calling it
If,
off. I
if
don't
we
want
not engaged, give me the engagement ring. This is me saying, hey, will
you
you
probably
marry
still
me?
paying on it. You can go get a little refund, huh?
Yeah, I'd be dang if I'm still
Get your
gonna put
little
on the
chain.
ring. I'd be dang if I'm still paying on the ring you ain't finna wear. Give me that back.
Yeah.
Give me that back.
There's a lot of cases where like the engagement ring and the wedding ring is not the same. My wedding ring was essentially it was just like ours, like what he gave me, and it just didn't have that symbolism to me anymore. Like
Yeah.
it felt weird in that period where we were like not together but not divorced to still wear it.
Yeah.
And when we were officially, I gave it back, I think, before we were officially divorced. But in my mind, I was like, I'm going to put it in a drawer. Like, it just wasn't, not like we paid, because we got it together. So it's not like we paid a crazy amount for the ring or anything where I could go pawn it and get, I'm going to have $5,000. Like, nah. So it was just, it didn't mean anything to me anymore. It was literally just a piece of jewelry, and I didn't want it.
For sure.
So maybe about 2 months before we were officially divorced, I pulled it out the drawer and he came to get the kids one day and I was like, here you go. You can have this back. This yours.
Got you. All right. Second question.
Okay.
Should or what are your thoughts on women proposing?
I hate this question. I hate this question so much. First of all, if you are a woman who has proposed to a man, more power to you. I don't think it should be done. I absolutely do not see a world, and this is just based off my beliefs for myself, where I'm going to get on one knee to a 6'2", how much ever pound you weigh man, and let you stand over me and cry in my face while I'm on my knees giving you a ring. Don't see it happening.
Yeah.
It just does not match the picture of manliness and husbandry that I want. Like, I don't want to be the one pursuing you for marriage. I want you to make up in your mind that you want to marry me and come ask me, and I can make up in my mind whether I want to say yes or
I
not.
ain't letting no girl slide no ring on my hand. I do. I will.
Like,
you
it
slide the
just-
ring on my finger.
I can't see the picture.
I want to know, and this is just from ignorance, like I just don't know. Is it like you desire to be the one to ask, or is it like we've been dating long enough, I really want to be married and I'm tired of waiting on them, so I'm gonna ask?
I can't answer that because I've never been.
Yeah, I'm not
maybe
asking
you need
you.
to ask it on the live.
I plan on making this a clip. Make this a clip. I need to know. Y'all drop it down in the chat. I need to know.
So maybe you need to ask that on the live because I
don't even know nobody who that was their scenario. But I've seen it online. I've seen it, unfold. I always be like, that just looks crazy.
I was ruthless in my pursuit to marry you. Like, I was like, hey, You gonna ask me to marry you? Oh, we about to go here. Is you about to ask me to marry you? Did you buy the ring yet? Do you need
nerves.
help understanding?
Working my
And
nerves.
I will continue to do so. But I still wanted you, as much as I wanted to be married to you, there was no part of me that was like, but why don't you just ask him?
Yeah.
It didn't even like the thought process, and it didn't even compute to me to be the one to ask you.
Yeah, nah. And I wish you would. I would have snatched you right up off your knee. If I saw you going on there, get up. What are you doing? Get up? You lost your mind.
You remember that episode 11 Hip Hop when Chrissy proposed to Jim Jones?
Yes.
Do you remember? I like literally in my stomach, it was just like, you know, like when you see somebody just embarrass themselves and there's nothing you can do about it, you just watch the car crash happen. I was just like, oh, please don't do it.
I hate it. I hate it.
And the fact that they're still not married tells me a lot.
I think, and aside from just like the masculine, feminine role, I do think just with how, especially in American society and Western culture, like the way marriage is emphasized between genders, right? With women it being like almost groomed to like desire to be a wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like every Disney movie has the Prince Charming narrative, Cinderella, are you the one who can fit the shoe to be the princess for the prince? Like it's this narrative that's pushed, right? Versus men who it's like conquer and destroy, you know what I mean? Sow your royal oats. And, you know, most of the time at a wedding, the girl throws the bouquet and girls are fighting to catch it. A man throw that garter belt and they like, hey, yo. Like, I'm not trying to catch that. I know dudes who are like anxious about bringing their girl to a wedding because they don't want the girl to catch the, you know, this is so, they don't want them to start desiring that. I think if you're going to walk into a marriage with somebody, it should be with a man who looked at you, saw you, and chose you to be his wife. Because society sometimes grooms men to not want to be in that position, to want to be free, to not have to answer with the weight of being a man of a household, to not have to answer about being with one woman, and I can move and do what I want to do, right? So if that is acceptable not to society, you should want to make sure that when you went to the altar, it was with a man who chose that, who chose you. You know what I'm saying? You don't, when the girl asks, you don't know.
You don't know what?
You don't know if he chose that. Like, I know, I have a feeling that, like, when I watched the episode of Jim Jones, Chrissy, I legitimately like, yo, he look embarrassed. He does not look like he looked like, but I love you. I'm not going to make you look like a sucker. Like you got all our friends and family here. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to embarrass you like that. He said, sure. Yeah, sure.
What, I mean, was he supposed to scream? Yes! Like I did?
But
what's supposed to happen?
But you see how the approach is different?
Yeah.
It's another, because this dude was drunk out with his friends and his girl came in, they was eating, and she was like, all his friends was like, yeah. And he was like, yo, what's going on? And she was like, we've been together for a long time. He was like, yo, what you doing? I just want to know. He said, yo, baby. Like, you saw the face like, don't do this. Don't do this. But once again, friends, family, she on one knee. He ain't finna embarrass, but it's like, you know, I will, you know.
I mean, you went on the spiel about the man choosing, and
that doesn't mean there aren't bad men who still do that and then still gonna do dirt.
I'm not talking about that, but it almost feels like, oh, if a man has chosen to marry you, that then you're obligated to say yes.
You can still say yes or no.
I mean, I think
I'm just saying it. You should want to be married to somebody who
both
you know
people.
for sure. Yeah, but we're talking
How do you
about
know
men
for sure she want to marry you.
I'm saying we're talking about men proposing, so I'm talking about the man being sure.
I mean,
of course the woman should be sure she said yes.
I think my whole belief in a man asking is really rooted in tradition and masculine and feminine energy. It's really rooted in that more than it is in like sound logic of why it should not happen.
Mine's rooted in logic.
I don't think that a man saying, oh, it should be a man who makes up his mind that he wants to marry you. Yeah, y'all, we both have to make up our mind that we want to be married. So I don't think that determines who should ask
Mine's
and who
rooted
shouldn't.
in
I mean,
logic.
it is just rooted in just
A
like
man that
I-
findeth a wife finds a good thing. A man that findeth a wife.
But he found her. He found that didn't mean he asked her. It just mean he found her. Like, I'm with the person who is going
All
to
right,
be
I
my
found
wife.
you. Now ask me, babe.
I mean, I think we agree on the point that it
I
just
know you
feels
don't want to
weird
accept
me,
it
but-
because like it feels like the man is so esteemed, like, oh, if the man chose you. But you see a clear difference between how a woman reacts when she's proposed versus how a man reacts when he's proposed. Like that, yes. It's like, it's not because I got your ring. It's not because I did that. It's because out of all the options I have in the world, out of everything I could be doing this season of my life, I look at you and I say, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. It's like the choosing. And it's not because he's a man, but it's because it's the person that you love choosing you.
But I mean, why is that same for a woman? Out of all the things that I could be doing in life,
I'm not saying this. I'm saying the demeanors most of the time with men are different. Why do you think more so 9 times out of 10?
I think because the way that the world works, it just makes you look like a sucker.
I think it's
soft if a girl is getting on her knees.
I think it's something more. I think there's more to like say about the nature of us as groups. I think everybody has a nature, and I don't think it's monolithic. I think there's like degrees and temperatures to all of it. But I think 9 times out of 10, when you think of a nurturing, supportive, turn a house into a home, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a woman that does that.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I don't disagree with any of that.
Because that's nature. That's not just like happens. That's just not a coincidence. That's because that's the nature of, a woman. Like, I feel like when God created women, he was like, helpmate. This man can't do it on his own. Right now, when you look at the nature of men, without a woman, without wise counsel, when you find a foolish man, he will burn the world to pieces. Like rape, plunder, like murder. Not saying women are capable of the same thing, but I'm saying 9 times out of 10, natures are just different. And the nature of a man is more hardwired to lend itself to foolishness if he hasn't submitted to the idea of like, this is the woman I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And you know that, well, you don't know that, but I feel like you have more of evidence of that when a man is going through the rigmarole to walk into that with you and ask you to marry him without pressure, without none of that. Like before you even knew it, I was already working on making you my wife. Mm-hmm. And that speaks to you that regardless of what my nature's pulling me to do, because I am not so like holy and sanctified that my flesh doesn't cry out for carnality, right? Like I got homies right now that are run amok and doing a fool, cheating.
But he has still at one point made up his mind that he wants to marry and be with that person. Which
I
is
said
why
they was married.
I'm saying there are some though.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm not going against nature. I'm not going against any of that. I'm just saying in my personal convictions about a woman proposing to a man, I think it's more rooted in just like tradition and a masculine and feminine, like you said, nature, but not the decision like, oh, you want a man to decide that he wants to be with you, and so he's going to ask you to marry him, versus a woman who's like, nah, I've made up in my mind that like this man loves, protects, and takes care of me as a husband should, and I want him to be my husband. Like that's for me to make up my mind at too. So I just don't think that's a reason for the man to propose is what I'm saying.
I don't understand how one discounts the other. Like even if a woman has to decide as well on her own.
But you're saying a woman should not propose to a man because she should want that. Like he could still decide that, just like a woman still has to decide that.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I'm not saying we don't have
reason
to want a man to propose you.
To say that the man is the one who should propose because he should have made up in his mind that he want to marry you.
He should have.
I mean, okay, yeah, we're going in circles and we're not.
Yeah, let's just agree to disagree.
Yes.
I think with the nature of what a man, of how a lot of men are, I feel like the proposal is a good way to like rule out intent. Like, what do you want from this? I'm not saying every man who proposes is a good man and ain't gonna cheat and do dirt. I'm just saying that you shouldn't go into a marriage because you pressured a man, because you was like, I want to get married. My sister got married, blah, 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 blah. So now he's proposing to you under duress. I'm not saying you should marry a man because, you know what I'm saying, you asked him and now he's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. We've been together all the time. We might as well. I'm just saying that how crazy men can be. And I'm only knowing this because I know I'm a man and I know a lot of dudes and I know their nature. I'm saying that you should want a man to be sure about you before you get, you know, and before you walk into the engagement process.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I just don't think that just necessarily means he's always going to be the one to initiate it because he's sure. Because I've heard a lot of men be very sure about the fact that they want to get married, but they say the finances that got to be right. I got to finish school. I got to do this. Like I want to marry her, but I want all of these other things to be perfect. And maybe she's just like, look, I'm trying to show him that it don't have to be perfect. I want to marry you. I've made up that in my mind. And if you're not going to ask, I'm going to ask you. I don't think you should do it, sis. I think you should wait on him or help him see that everything don't have to be perfect. But I'm just saying that decision making doesn't make me rule on the fact that a man should always be the one to propose. I will say it's probably my reason is just more rooted in like, it looked crazy. Like it just looks real crazy. But I do think that a woman could essentially be like, he's already communicated that to me. He's already said those things to me. Maybe he feels like I need this really fancy ring and I don't need that. He wants to give that to me and I commend him for that. But I don't want that to be a reason that we don't get married because he can't afford that yet. So I'm going to show him that by asking him. Maybe that's her mindset. I'm just trying to put myself in that situation. And
maybe
think like a woman in that situation.
Maybe.
And what would propel her to do those things. But I am hard stance that if my daughter ever came to me and said, Mom, I'm about to ask Brian to marry me, that I would be like, sis, don't do it.
I wish you would, but I snatch your butt up so fast. Get up. What are you doing?
I'm not coming. You playing this whole thing, mommy's not going to be there.
What we doing? Absolutely not. No.
And I'm going to have a stern talk about, she trying to propose to you, so you better get yourself together because I don't want my daughter going out like that.
Yeah, it's all bad. It's all bad. All of y'all who are pursuing marriage, if you're in a relationship and you're considering marriage and you think you got a good one, handle that season appropriately. Run it through a fine-tooth comb. Don't just go through the motions of marriage counseling.
Do you think it's an appropriate length of engagement?
I think it varies. I don't think there's like a time frame. I think it just depends on like what the circumstance is.
I thought it felt really wise when our first lady said to us, make sure y'all engage or date through all 4 seasons before, y'all pull the trigger. We didn't listen, but I guess we dated through all 4 seasons. Cause that's what she said, she said that to me. You want to make sure that you date somebody through all 4 seasons just so that you get a good round picture. I think it's.
You mean? I think. Oh, you mean like literally the seasons? I don't think winter, all 4 summer, seasons fall.
Is literal, but I mean you're trying to date them long enough that you see when they're sad. You have an opportunity to see how they act when they're frustrated.
You mean before you get engaged?
Yeah. Or even through that whole period. You know what I'm saying?
Because I think you should see all that before you even start approaching marriage.
I don't think I had the opportunity to see you upset before we got married.
Huh?
I don't think I had the opportunity to see you like upset, like not with something that has to do with us, but just truly like
you
angry.
Still ain't seen that.
You still I feel like I've seen glimpses of it. I mean, if your angry is always explosive, then
it's not explosive.
Maybe
but I know.
But I think I've seen you angry and upset now. I may have not seen the worst degree of it, but I believe that I've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen me angry, but
But when we were dating, I don't think that I've like genuinely saw even the level of upset that I've experienced now just in relationship and watching you deal with outside situations. I'm talking about nothing that has to do with us, but I've seen you be upset when dealing with other people, with other circumstances that I didn't get an opportunity to see when we were together. It's nothing that surprised me on how you handle yourself, but I didn't get to see that. And I don't think I've seen you sad.
You've never seen me sad?
Not like, okay, maybe I'm thinking of like grief type sad. Like I don't think I've seen you operate a season of sadness or a period of sadness.
I can't honestly say I haven't had seasons of that. Like those emotions with me are quick and they pass. I think my default setting is joy, and I go back to that quickly. But I knew there's some things that like you got to walk through a season of it, like losing a close loved one. I haven't had that before, but yeah, you've never seen me like aggressive, mad. You know what I'm saying? You've never seen me like. I
mean, same. You've not seen me there either. So I think that
when we was at Wendy's and you was about to jump out and fight that manager, I saw it.
Mild. I didn't even say a curse word. Mild.
I think you did. I
don't think I did. I did not.
I think you did. I think you let it fly.
Mild.
Yeah. So I don't know. I reserve that. I reserve them emotions. Those are precious. If you get that up out of me, you deserve it. You deserve it. Some people give way too much energy to people. Like you gotta do something really special to get that up out of me, and you're gonna get every piece of what that calls for.
I think that's just wisdom and maturity too. Because when I was younger, didn't take much at all. Like you say something or look at me crazy, and you'll get the full wrath. But now I'm just like, I don't. What do I owe you to get upset to that level? Like I owe you nothing, and you
also
owe me
like
nothing.
You have to be on a certain priority list for me to get access to certain emotions. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like people I love, they can get that up out of me because I've got emotion invested in it. But the lady who cut in front of me at the gas station, I'm irritated and I'm mad, but you ain't finna make me shout out.
Yeah.
Person to cut me off while I'm driving, you not finna get me yelling. I'm irritated. I might say, okay. But I'm cutting on my music and I'm just gonna keep driving. Like
I said that to say, because when we go back to the date someone for offers or how long should you date them, I don't think it's always possible or be engaged to them to see every single facet of a person in a certain period before you say, okay, this is the person I'm going to marry. But what you can see is their nature. What you can see is their character.
Yeah.
What you can see is their heart. And if any of those things are tainted in any way where it's even possible, like, okay, I see he not that upset now, but I see where he could really like go there and tear that up. You either have to explore that or you have to be willing to walk away. And I think once we're engaged, it's almost like we're already married. And I feel like it's hard to walk away in an engagement period. I think it would be really hard if you proposed to me, it would probably take a really big event for me to then be like, okay, I'm going to walk away.
What you talking about, our situation?
I think it would have took something like really massive. Like you hurt me, you hurt one of my kids, something like that.
Aaron wrote into us and he was kind of talking about like this, almost like this need of perfection after what you went through. I had to fight through that. And I was so determined to make sure that you were the right one. I was so willing to, I would have in a heartbeat. If I felt you weren't the one for me, I would have been so willing. Like, yep, nope, I'm not going through this again.
That
almost to a detriment.
I think I wasn't that quick so before we even got engaged, I was trying to pray you out my life. I say that all the time. Like I was like, God, if he's not the one,
see, I was the opposite.
Take him away, send him to jail, whatever you got to do, so that I don't attach feelings to someone who is not meant to be in my life. So, but once God confirmed that for me, I stopped praying that and I really look for opportunities to confirm the word that God has spoke to me. Now, when we were in marriage counseling and we're engaged and we run into the baby mama issue, the ex-wife issue, that's where I would say it made me question, and it made me not want to say call off the engagement, but maybe push it out a little bit longer. Like maybe we don't need to get married next month. Maybe we need to get married next year. But it wasn't, I don't think, I'm trying to put myself back in that mindset. I don't think it was ever walk away. I wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we got to that point. I don't think we went through nothing that was that deep. I mean, regardless of like, even when we got to that situation, like it still was like, it wasn't like the relationship's over. It was just like, okay, are we ready to do this soon?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, you said you were looking for opportunities to walk away. So I was just saying that I wasn't doing that. I was committed.
I was like, I'm not going through this again. I had to fight. I think I was perceptive enough to realize that there was a degree of irrationality where I'm like, okay, a lot of this is a trauma response. You know what I mean? Like, okay, is it really this deep, or are you looking for something because you're scared? You know, I didn't go through the period where I was trying to pray you away. I was in la la land until we got engaged, and I was like, oh shoot, this is real. Oh, this is real. Okay. So what's this like now? So now every interaction, I'm like, okay, are we good? I'm like, yo, you good? Like, why you seem like you got an attitude? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you good? I was like, I'm lethargic. Huh? What's that mean?
Lethargic?
What was the word you said when you were like, I'm more
lethargic.
What was it? It was somewhere.
Stoic.
Yeah, I'm just naturally more stoic. I said, hold on. What's that mean? Can I be with a stoic wife? What's stoic mean? I didn't know she was stoic. You just should have told me you was stoic from the beginning. I don't know why you want to be stoic today, but I'm finna see. But everything was like, can I do this? Can I do this? All right, what's this like? It's like this today. Can I do this 10 years from now? But, you know, a lot of that was a trauma response. You know what I'm saying? Well,
I mean, if you're going to have that type of thinking, I think the engagement period and the dating period is the best time to have it, because once we marry, we go back to what we was talking about in the beginning. It's essentially too late to be trying to figure out if this is the person that I can spend the rest of my life with. You already made that commitment. And yes, we have things like divorce, the institution of divorce, to get out of those things. But it's a lot of work that you can do in the dating and in the engagement period, where it is prime time to walk away if you have determined that it's not the person, it's not the situation for you. That's the best time to do it. And it's up to you, right? Because engagement can last 2 weeks. It can last 2 years. Like whatever time you need to really determine that, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Wholeheartedly take it. Don't let nobody put you on no timeline. Don't let nobody rush you to the altar. If you still have questions, like you're 98% sure, make sure you close that 2% before you walk down the aisle.
That part. Because I do believe what the Bible say. I do believe God hates divorce. Right now, that doesn't mean that you should endure all manner of hell, but like, y'all need to work on your relationships. If you're unhappy, work on your relationship. Unhappy doesn't mean like you leave. Because like there is a degree where God calls us to be holy and set apart from the world. And over happiness is like, there's holiness. Like that's more of a priority.
And I'm going to say something, and I mean this with my whole heart. Do not get married if you want to be happy all the time. Just don't do it. You have to manage somebody else's feelings, thoughts, actions, and emotions all the time. And sometimes that's going to make you unhappy.
That's irrational.
Like, do not get married if that's what you're looking for.
You're not happy with yourself all the time. Like that's so irrational. You not happy with you all the time, and you're in 100% control of yourself. That's the only person you can actually control is yourself, and you don't even like you all the time.
Please don't do it. That is probably the number one mistake. I just want to get married and live happily ever after. Then don't get married.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the totality of your life, you can look back on and be like, you know what, this marriage was blessed. Like I've witnessed the fruit of a plentiful marriage, but that comes on the legs and the heels of hard work, a lot of a lot of humility, and service. You know what I mean? That's not always easy. And it's not always gonna make you happy. I promise you. That part. Not in the moment.
It's fulfilling.
Not in the moment.
But it ain't always, I'm gonna go wash the dishes. I'm gonna go clean. Like
that part.
All right, y'all. Make sure to meet us back here on Thursday. We will be live on Facebook and YouTube at 8:30-ish Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be live with the fam. We want y'all to come in, engaged, and ready to kick this thing off.
Absolutely. If you want to support the show, you can support the show by subscribing to us on buzzsprout.com. $3 a month.
Link is in the description of the podcast and the YouTube video, whichever one you watch, is right there for you.
And maybe you don't want to commit to that. Maybe you just like, I just want a one-off, shoot them $5, $1 here, whatever the case may be. You get us up on Cash App, $ what they never told us. We're here because of y'all. Y'all know this ain't cheap. Everything we do costs money, from uploading episodes on streaming platforms to the equipment. But we're not a sponsored podcast. We are here because y'all put us here. Y'all support us. Y'all continue to do that. So we thank all of our supporters. We thank all of you guys who have subscribed already. We thank all of you guys who just shoot us cash when we go live and just keep us going. So we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And we welcome all of y'all to do that.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to add one more way to support the show is just going to Facebook, liking, sharing, commenting, whatever you do through that platform is also a way to support our show. We appreciate whatever you do. And if you don't do nothing but just listen, we appreciate you for that too.
That part. Yeah, but we really like it when y'all send money, so do that too.
All right, y'all. Always remember that we love love.
And y'all should love too.
Peace.
Peace.